Lovely,
Recording in progress.
and I have enjoyed the day and enjoy the sunshine when it peeks out. So it's been a good day. Okay, here comes Linda. And our speaker today is Jeanie Ward, and our musician is Dina. And we are ready to begin with our music, Dina.
Thank you, Claudia. Slowness discovers what our hurry leaves behind. Softness uncovers what our hardness tries to hide. Surrender remembers what our fear has forgotten. Surrender remembers the birthright that is ours to find. Surrender remembers. Surrender remembers. Silence speaks clearly of what all our clamor will never say. Simplicity holds dearly what all our glamour tries to toss away. Surrender remembers what our fear has forgotten. Surrender remembers the birthright that is ours to find. Surrender remembers. Surrender remembers. Surrender remembers. Surrender remembers.
Thank you, Dina. That was lovely. The word for today is joy. I say yes to the joy that invites me into this moment. I say yes to the joy that invites me into this moment. Joy is the call of my heart, whether I'm at work or at play. I bring a spirit of joyfulness to everything I do. More than a mood or an attitude, joy is part of me and mine to live and to share. Like all aspects of my divine identity, joy flowers in my consciousness when I hold joyful thoughts and feelings. I express my joy as the excitement of anticipation, fascination at new discovery, deep satisfaction in a relationship, and the tranquil glow from communing with God in prayer. My joy is contagious and I love to share it. I have feelings of joy when I take part in a friend's or family member's joyous moments, their celebrations and accomplishments. I feel quiet joy when I offer encouragement and even when I give comfort, grateful to share the care and love of God. And from First Thessalonians, rejoice always. We begin in our services in unity by lighting our Christ candle as a symbol of the Christ consciousness, the awareness of the presence and power of all that is good, all that is true within each one of us. As we learn to let our light shine, we bring light to the whole world. Our affirmation this morning for the month: I set my intention today to keep my heart light and free. Together, I set my intention today to keep my heart light and free. Dina?
Thank you, Claudia. Congregational song this evening is Surrender. We are opening up. The lyrics are in the chat box, and this song begins slowly and then repeats a number of times, each time getting faster and faster, and then the final repetition of the song is back to the original slow tempo. So you're going to hear it a lot, so I'm not going to spend any time teaching it to you beforehand. You're going to hear it slow, and then you can just pick it up as we go along. So I will make one note about the structure of the piece. It's got one long line. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. And then it just repeats. The tune is the same. And the we are opening, that also just repeats. We are opening. So the tune is the same. When the text repeats, the tune repeats. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. We are We are opening. We are opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit in us all. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the sacred spirit. We are opening. We are opening. I can't hear.
Can't hear me.
Sorry, I thought I clicked it hard enough. Yeah, it's time for you to go.
Okay. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Dina. What a perfect song. Perfect opening in all kinds of ways. So welcome to Unity of Blairsville. I almost said this morning, but this afternoon, okay? Does anybody really know what time it is? Not anymore. I don't think we ever have, but all it matters is this time right now. And to be here with all of you in this wonderful co-creative experience. As always, it's my joy, privilege, and honor to share this time with you and to come together as community. All of you beautiful souls and lights that are looking at me, and all of you who will look at this video later on and perhaps glean some wonderful wisdom and guidance, or whatever it is that may fall upon you in a beautiful, beautiful way. The energy that is created here, it reminds us that we are energy beings, and it's incumbent upon us to pay attention to that. And my talk today is about the power of willingness. Often we hear about where there's a will, there's a way. And even in Unity, in fact, I think this month is about the power of will, if I'm not mistaken. And Unity, you know, with Unity, it's more about, you think of the mind when you think of will. You think of that willpower. It's more of a faculty of mind. We can access that divine intelligence. And, you know, what is Unity's third principle? Basically, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. So it brings that into the light for us to pay attention to what our thoughts are. And I think it goes even further than that. I think it calls us to take a look at our heart, what's within our heart, and also what we carry within us in our consciousness and our subconscious, where our beliefs, it's kind of like, think of a computer. I'm not a computer person, but I always love the analogy of the computer and the operating system that is within that computer and what it understands. And to me, our subconscious is very much like that operating system. And the thoughts we have, the things that we bring into our experience are filtered through that. And it can certainly alter how we respond, how we might react, how we might perceive a certain situation. And today the talk is really focused on, are you willing to do things differently? Are you willing to be open? And I love the song that Dina sang, talking about surrendering and remembering and opening, and all the words that she has already been sharing with us this afternoon, that all forth that energy of, am I open? Am I willing? Or am I anchored into my beliefs? I like to call it my BS, my belief system, okay? And I'm not going to budge. I'm anchored into it, and no matter what, it's my story, and that's what it is. It's a narrative. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And don't even think about asking me to look at something differently. Don't even ask me to entertain another perspective. And when we do that, we limit ourselves, because God is limitless. The divine is limitless. And unless we are that open conduit and we are willing to lay down our stuff and to be open to receiving that guidance, that direction, that divine energy, we can often find ourselves perplexed, frustrated, angry, anxious, you name it. And I think we would all agree that right now in the world, there is a whole lot going on in the world out there. And when this thing called COVID showed up, you know, at least here, roughly 18 months ago, I mean, it was already around. And I look at COVID differently probably than a lot of people do. I see it as an energy. I see it as an opportunity. I see it as something that was born out of an energy that was already happening. And it's presented us with all kinds of challenges. Well, that's what life is. Life is not going to get to a place to where, okay, I'm right here and now, okay, like nothing can change now, please. I need it just to stay just like that. I don't need anything to change because what? Because that's my comfort zone? Because that's what I'm used to? Perhaps. But we know nothing changes, nothing grows when we are in our comfort zone. In fact, we talk about chaos and chaos theory and what's created out of that. Think about Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness gracious. All of the things that Jesus dealt with in the short time he was here on planet Earth, one challenge after another, wouldn't you say? I mean, all the things that we learned about his life and how he navigated that. He was open, he was willing to what? Receive. He was open and willing to look at things through the eyes of love and through the eyes of compassion, and to open himself up to that divine guidance. And we are no different. I think sometimes we think of the Christ as, well, way up here, and we, us here, or those who might listen to this, and on 3D Earth, we feel like, well, I'm a little less than that, and I'm not quite that. But it's that reminder that we are given all the time. The surrender, what? It remembers. That's what Dina was just singing about. When we surrender and we say, I'm open and I'm willing, we begin to return to that kingdom of God within us, to that Christ consciousness. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's always there, no matter what. And even as I'm sharing this with you this afternoon, I invite you to challenge what it is I'm saying to you. I'm offering you different things that some of us are aware of, that we have learned about, but I continue to invite you to explore, to inquire for yourself. What is it in your life that you truly believe? Are you still operating out of the conditioning from early on in your life, and from the conditioning that certainly can come through the world out there? What is it for you that's your base, that you are anchored into, so that you can be what? Yeah, I think the saying was attributed to Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world. And I did some research about that, and actually his words were a bit different than that, but the essence of it is that. It's like, are you willing to be that change, rather than, I had recalled a song a few years ago by John Mayer. It was called Waiting on the World to Change. Waiting on the world to change. And I often think that's what we do. We sit back and we go, well, you know what? I'm just going to wait. And I'm going to see if this, and this happens. And then maybe, just maybe, I'll consider doing that. But not until things change and look a certain way am I going to budge even in the least. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Or am I the only one, right? And we just like, it's almost like we are so invested in being positional. We are so invested in just, well, you know what? That's just, I just know it's right. And I know it's true. And that's just the way it is. And I say, okay, that's fine. If that's where you want to be with whatever it might be in your life. But even for myself, I have to share briefly from more of a personal experience with all of you. Some of you knew that I moved this last month. Well, the moving has been taking place for the last 2 or 3 months, to be perfectly honest with you. And I have to tell you what, I've moved a lot in my life. I mean, you probably would all pass out if I told you how many times I've moved. My dad was military, so I was indoctrinated early on with moving, okay? But this past month, there were a lot of moving parts to my move. That's a good way to put it, okay? And I can honestly tell you that I never knew from 1 minute to the next what was happening except what I was doing. Talk about a perfect learning example. It kept me, no, I shouldn't say it kept me. I chose to be so focused with each day and each thing that I was doing, because the next day something was going to change, because my move was going from a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home that I was renting and moving into renting a bedroom. So you can only imagine what a huge change that is right there in and of itself. Okay. Oh, my. And so much of it felt wonderful on so many levels. And you know, guys, that's what I made the commitment to do. I said, Jeanie, what? Jeanie? Okay. Jeanie, guess what we're going to do? We're going to focus on that which is already feeling good, that which is already working, all of the things that you are wanting to manifest out of this. And I had been wanting to move out of that house for several years anyway, but not quite like this. But so it was imposed upon me with a timeline. Things shifted and changed. And then the place that I was going to, where I am right now, which has turned out to be a wonderful experience. And I'm seeing this as sort of a transition time for me being here. I know that I've been wide open and I've been willing to keep my focus on what it is the divine is guiding me to, and to know what the next phase of my journey is going to be, because I don't have a clue. Do any of us have a clue what's going to happen with anything if you really sit with that for a moment? Whether it's Unity of Blairsville, whether it's a world out there, whether it's the next moment when we finish this service and you move on to the next thing, do we really have any idea of what's going to happen? We really don't. So what does that present you with? To me, it presents me and all of us with the opportunity. You know, I love Eckhart Tolle. He's one of my favorite leaders and spiritual teachers. I just so appreciate him. And, you know, what happened when he wrote The Power of Now and what's happened with him since in terms of what he embodies. And to me, he's like, you know, if you want to talk about the second coming of Jesus, holy moly, as far as I'm concerned, Eckhart Tolle is just this pristine, pure consciousness, that light. And again, that is each of you that I'm seeing on the screen today, and anybody who watches this, that is you already, whether you accept it, whether you claim it, whether you own it or not. To me, that is the truth of you. And I hope you can really just let that infuse you a little bit to remind yourself of that. So as we continue to go on about this journey, and with my, like I said, my moving experience, there were things that were happening that finally I just started laughing. And what do they often say? It's the true cliche. Laughter really is the best medicine, because I did not know from one day to the next, because this place that I was moving to was supposed to happen on a certain day. It didn't happen on that day. And it didn't happen on the next day or the next day or the next day. And it just kept, you know, being strung out and lengthened. And thank God for the blessings of wonderful friends who offered to help me on a timeline that worked for me. And the blessings that were pouring in, my faith was expanded in such a way that I can't even tell you. In the midst of my frustration and my humanness and my exhaustion, physically, mentally, emotionally, every day I would just sit, because number one, I'd be so tired, but I would just sit and immerse myself in what I knew to be true. And that was, I am this divine being. And as I open myself and I am willing to just breathe and be guided, amazing things really do happen. And I found myself, I said initially, I was bumping up against all kinds of things, and I had such a resistance, and I was feeling my frustration, and I was just like, oh, I was not in a good place. So right now in the world out there, what are you doing with it? Are you being that change? Not just for yourself, but to be that Christ light that maybe you believe you came here to be? Even for Unity of Blairsville, as it continues its journey with the study groups and other kinds of things, what is your role in that, in your personal life? If you have family, friends, all the wonderful animals that are in our lives, how are you navigating all of these different things for you? Is it with an energy and an openness of willingness, or is it something that is more resistant and you find yourself pushing against what is happening out there? So I really offer that to you in terms of you continuing to take a look at that and be very, very present with that. One of the, I don't know how many of you are familiar with David Hawkins. I had the privilege and truly the pleasure to see him about 15 years ago. I saw him in person, which was rare. He wrote Power versus Force, Eye of the Eye, and he's all about consciousness. And he actually created a map, a scale of consciousness. And I thought it was fascinating to take a look at all the different things, because you have anger and fear and shame and guilt, and you have love and peace and all of these different words that truly are calibrated and measured, and they're measured with what's called applied kinesiology, muscle testing, and there's other different things that he chose to use to calibrate this. He's very much a scientist. In fact, when they talk about ascended masters like Jesus, like the vibration is way, way up here. I think I even remember a few years ago, Wayne Dyer referencing David Hawkins's work. But on the scale from it's like 0 to 1,000, willingness sits at around 310 and 315. And I wrote down some notes insofar as what that brings to us for your own information, so you can educate yourself about this and realize, as you find yourself more open and willing to be receptive to what is being offered to you, that you may turn away from, but it's really calling you, and when something's calling you. The universe, God, is not going to stop. So on the level of willingness, it's about 315. It says, this is a level of optimism and seeing the potential within challenges. And this is where self-mastery, self-discipline begin to form and complaints begin to fall away. Just breathe that in for a minute. Optimism, seeing the potential within challenges. If we could offer that and hold that here in this group even today, and for those who will watch this, to hold that in a space for the world out there, can you imagine the difference that you could make? Remember, we are all interconnected. We are all part of the whole. And in this space of oneness, we affect one another. Our energy radiates out. That's when, Jesus could do what he did. And his presence was so powerful. There was no small self. It was the higher self, a higher consciousness. Willingness, it's a space in which growth becomes rapid at this level as the self gains a lot of positive energy and becomes freer. Did you hear that? How many times do we hold ourselves hostage with our unwillingness, with our resistance to something? When we hold ourselves in a place of just not even wanting to look at something because we are so anchored into it's got to be this way or no way at all. How often have you found yourself in that place? So the self gains a lot of positive energy and becomes freer from the negative anguish of lower, denser energies. Because you know how that feels when you get into frustration and you get into that. And there's nothing wrong with these emotions either. That's what I want you to hear. That's part of the human experience. Remember, spiritual beings, energy beings, having a human experience. So that the Christ consciousness can continue to expand in the form through us. And we can continue to raise that consciousness within ourselves and for others. That's why we're here. That's why we're here, to expand, evolve, and grow. Resistance to life and to change is dropped, and advancement and progress proceeds. People at this level are helpful and contribute to the well-being of society and life. Our self-esteem is elevated. Our self-worth, which sometimes we can take a hit from and still look through those human eyes and forget the truth of who we are. We are that Christ expressing, God expressing in the form and in the expression that you are. That is such a gift and privilege. If we are willing to claim it and receive it and own it, that's where we get stuck. We kind of shy away and go, oh, no, that's not for me to do. That's for somebody else. Go knock on another door, universe. Go knock on another door, God. You're not talking about me. But God is always like, I am expressing through you. And if you will allow me to do that, oh, my. All that you need to know and the guidance you need to receive, the energy, the peace that passes all understanding, you will be that presence. And willingness, it will be like a no-brainer. There won't be anything really to think about because you will be the embodiment of that willingness consciousness. And it goes on to say, this level is full of optimism, confidence, and a greater sense of spiritual power. Okay, we're talking about will, the divine faculty of mind. We're talking about willpower, where there's willingness, that will, a greater sense of spiritual power, which facilitates the process of purification of the self and spiritual evolution. If you asked yourself today, do you feel like you are continuing to evolve? Are you continuing to grow? Or are you kind of, maybe a little stuck? Or maybe you're just at a place where sometimes we hang out in the void. I love that, where it doesn't feel like a whole lot's going on, but yet the activity of life is still very, very present and still always wanting to express through you uniquely as you. You came here for something special when you signed up, and you are something special. And I really, really invite you to hold on to not just that thought, because thoughts can come and go, but just to anchor yourself into that truth. And if that feels uncomfortable for you, that's fine. Maybe for you, you're thinking, well, you know what, Jeanie, for me, it feels a little different and it looks a little different. And I go, I applaud you. That's great, because there is only one expression of you as God. You're not like anybody else. And when you are willing to embrace your uniqueness, that there is only one expression of you, and you're not going to think or do or act or speak like anybody else, and how beautiful that is, because you are contributing to this beautiful tapestry of life, and you're weaving your own threads of uniqueness and beauty by your willingness to say, okay, I'm going to participate in life. I'm going to not be of the world, but I'm going to be in the world and do what I came here to do. And if I don't have a clue what that is, then I invite you to ask the question, am I willing to find out? Am I willing to learn? And it doesn't matter what your human age is, so just throw that out the window. It doesn't matter how long you've been on the spiritual path, whether it's a day or a million days, it doesn't make any difference. What matters is this moment right now. And for you to get real with you and ask yourself that question. Am I the divine expression in such a way that I am at peace? I feel the joy. I have these wonderful experiences that come to me. And even when things aren't feeling so great, do I still know that I'm loved? Just like I am. Warts and all. Do I know that? Or do I question it? Am I finding myself reflecting on the past and getting hung up maybe in what could have, should have been, or whatever? Or am I, looking beyond all, and I'll mention the COVID thing again. Am I looking at the world out there and all the different things that we're seeing and thinking, is this ever going to end? Is this ever going to stop? All the things that people are saying, and maybe you're entertaining those questions for yourself. But I invite you to bring yourself back to right now and to anchor into the energy of presence. Presence with a capital P. That omnipresence, that God, that relationship that you have with the God of your understanding. And I think it's so cool that you're in the unity teachings, more of the new thought, metaphysical, that the dogma can just go out the window. It can be how you choose to create it, so that you can be your greatest expression in only the way that you can. And to say, yes, I'm willing to learn and I don't have a clue, or I'm willing to be willing. I don't know what I'm doing. I certainly felt that way the last 2 or 3 months. I'll tell you what, there were days I'd sit there, and my friends are like, okay, Jeanie, I really wish you well, because I don't know how you're going to get this done. And I thought, I don't have a clue either. But all I did is every day, I said, what can I do today to continue to do something that's going to what? Because I'm what? I'm a human what? Expression. And I feel my feelings. And I want to feel good today in the midst of my exhaustion, in the midst of my frustration. What can be my antidote to help me? What can be what nourishes me today in the midst of this thing that's going on? And again, I said, okay, how about the practice of gratitude? Oh, yes, we know the power of gratitude. Our willingness to be grateful for things that, I'm willing to be grateful for this really tough lesson that I'm learning right now and trust the process. I'm willing to be grateful for this day that I know that the God of my understanding is right here with me. And if there's one thing that I know, and it's all that I know, I'm going to anchor into that. And I'm going to let that source continue to supply me, to guide me with everything that I could ever need or desire. And that surrender, the willingness to be open. There's a quote by Meister Eckhart. Be willing to be a beginner every single morning. If you find yourself waking up one day or some days and you go, I don't know what I'm going to do today. I don't have a clue. But what? I'm willing to be a beginner. Let me just start right where I am. I had a couple other quotes that I want to bring in before I wrap up today. There's a philosopher, Niccolo Machiavelli, and it says, where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. I'm going to read that again. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Because again, when we are willing, remember, and I know you all know this, it's not my will, it's thy will. Thy will be done. Let me align my will with thy will and know that my higher calling is guiding me in every single moment. Another quote to share with you. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. That's a quote by Seneca. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. So I offered this to you today as Dina was singing earlier, I'll just go back to that. The reminder. I offer it to you as a gift that I'm passing along, because it's not from me, it's from Source speaking through me today to each of you and to all of you and to all of us as one, that we can allow ourselves to accept this moment, each moment as it is, and to know that there is always a blessing in it, a gift in it, if we are willing to put on a different lens, to open our mind, and to allow that mind, though, when we say, oh, I'm going to open my mind and be open-minded, to open it to divine mind. Remember, the one mind. And when you come from that place and everything processes through that, it's a very different outcome than when our human mind gets all, twirled around and upside down and sideways and everything else, and our thoughts are racing. And sometimes just taking a breath is the most challenging thing we can do. So I ask you today, are you willing? And if not, ask yourself why. And it could be about anything. But just in your life, as you proceed forward from this moment on, when things arise and you're bumping up against them, say, am I willing? Am I willing? Am I willing to be willing? And so it is. Thank you all. I think now we're going to move into a time of meditation, and Dina's going to lead us in beautiful music in the background, and I will guide us through a meditative time as we anchor into this magical, miraculous energy of willingness. So if you'd like to close your eyes, if that feels good for you, or keep them open, whatever you'd like to do that allows you to feel connected with the God of your understanding, with the Christ light, with Source, the universe, whatever word or no words, just this pure, pristine energy of presence that we enter into this sacred space right now. And we allow the breath of God to breathe us, feeling that beautiful breath, that beloved breath, just feel it coursing through your veins, moving through your muscles, your limbs, your organs. Feel your breath reminding you that you are life itself, expressing in only the way that you can, in only the way that you do, in only the way that you are. This beautiful child of the Most High, arrived on planet Earth at a divinely appointed time. Unlike any other being, you were created out of this Christ light consciousness. To be that creative Christ consciousness, expressing, emerging, expanding, and evolving. Awakening and remembering. As you are open to the willingness to experience life, to see through the lens of love, to entertain another perspective. You will discover more than you ever imagined. Actually, you will rediscover it because it's always been there. But now you have fresh eyes. Those inner eyes that can see beyond the illusion, beyond the outer appearance. Into the truth and into the heart of what is at hand. In every moment, your breath can bring you even closer to that beloved and sacred place. I am willing to surrender. I am willing to allow my will to be aligned with thy will. I am willing to be willing. And in this place, in this energy, there is profound wisdom, endless, infinite possibilities, and a promise that I am always with you. And you are loved beyond measure. So I nourish myself today from the well of willingness, knowing that it truly is a wellspring to source me and sustain me as I continue on my journey. Of returning to the kingdom within, to that Christ consciousness, and remembering the truth of all that I am. I am willing, and so it is.
Thank you, Dina. It was lovely. And thank you, Jeanie. It was wonderful. This brings us to the time in our service when we give thanks for the good that is flowing in and through this ministry and in through each of us who choose to participate and through the world all around us. And as we take our gifts, our offerings, our tithes, we recognize them as a symbol of the abundance of good right here, right now, waiting to express through each one of us. And I invite you to join me now in our offering blessing together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. It returns to the giver, blessed and multiplied. Thank you, God. So it is. Dina?
Thank you, Claudia. I put some lyrics in the chat box here. This is Yes, Lord, Yes. I'm going to do this song 4 times. Please feel free to join me. I'll say yes, Lord, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Lord, yes, I will trust it every day. When that Spirit speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree, and my answer will be yes, Lord, yes. I'll say yes, Lord, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Lord, yes, I will trust it every day. When that Spirit speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree, and my answer will be yes, Lord, yes. I'll say yes, Lord, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Lord, yes, I will trust it every day. When that Spirit speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree, and my answer will be yes, Lord, yes. I'll say yes, Lord, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Lord, yes, I will trust it every day. When that Spirit speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree, and my answer will be yes, Lord, yes. And my answer will be yes, Lord, yes. And my answer will be yes, Lord, yes.
Thank you. Okay, now we come to our peace song.
Yep, I'm just going to put the lyrics up.
and to the prayer for protection. All right. Okay.
There we go. There's the lyrics. And I'll put this in the right key for us. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as the one source, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, and that's the end of the tape.